Right, at 2 minutes past 9 this morning, delighted to welcome Andy Mitten to the show. Good morning to you, Andy.
Good morning.
Surely now this is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's semi-final hoodoo put to bed.
Surely, I agree. I think if Manchester United don't reach the final in Gdansk, then I wouldn't say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should be sacked, but you know he's in such a strong position now to score 6 in a European semi-final for the first time since Real Madrid in 1964, I think. Is incredible, and the second half performance from Manchester United was stunning. And when those world-class players who aren't always as consistent as they should be, when they click together, they destroyed Roma, and it was a joy to watch. And don't think United played that badly in the first half, but Roma took 2 chances, and United's defending was not good. And you had the scoreline at 2-1 at half time. But yeah, to go to Rome. I was never uneasy about Manchester United going to Rome regardless of the scoreline if it was a draw, because in the Europa League this season, United have drawn the home matches and won away in Italy, in Turin against Real Sociedad, in Granada, in Milan. And Roma are the 7th best team in Serie A so far this season. This isn't like United would be going to one of the best teams in the world, but they destroyed Roma in the second half, and really convincing, absolutely what was needed. And I'm just looking at flights to Gdansk right now.
It's amazing how good this Manchester United team are when the handbrake comes off and things come together. So in 302 games, including Moyes and Mourinho, United scored 5+ goals in a game twice. In 144 games under Solskjaer, it has now happened 9 times. Why is that, Andy? Is it confidence? Is it the players all coming together and there's just been a perfect marriage of things more often under Solskjaer? What do you put those statistics down to?
Firstly, that statistic I think comes from Steve Bartram, so he should get the credit for that, because he started out as a young journalist at United We Stand, working in our front room in Urmston, close to Old Trafford, when he was a young lad. And it's a brilliant statistic, and I think Ollie did something right from his very first game in December 18 at Cardiff away, when Manchester United hit 5 for the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson had been in charge in a league game. And it hasn't always been pretty under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There's been a lot of bumps along the way. There's been some bad defeats, but he's getting a consistency now. Manchester United have lost very few games this season. They've drawn too many in the league. I'm not going to pretend it's a vintage United side yet, nor that they're at Manchester City's level yet, but he's continuing to improve the team. And if he gets the signings he wants in the summer, then I think United will continue to improve. What helps with the goal scoring? Well, his attack continues to mature, so Marcus Rashford is a better player as he gets older. Mason Greenwood's coming on. He's not been prolific this season, but I think he's played really well. And then Edinson Cavani is a world-class striker. He has been wherever he's been. I was surprised that PSG let him go. A French journalist last night who's been around for a long time, very well respected in France, he just messaged me and said they really miss him in Paris and they're frightened of saying it. And you can see why. He's had a pretty difficult time at Old Trafford, but it's coming good for him these last few months. He's showing the player that he is. He said last month that he didn't want to stay when he met Ed Woodward in a one-to-one meeting in London. But I'm sensing now, and I speak to people in Uruguay, and I know people who know him very well, that decision might not be as set in stone as it would have been. I mean, he's got to stay. And Manchester, it will be a much better place to live, given the COVID rates have come right down, the success of the vaccinations. And if he can play at Old Trafford, and I asked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer about this after the game last night, in front of a crowd, at his age, I'm sure he'd absolutely love it. And he's still got the quality to combine with the other top quality United players to come up with the performances like he did against Roma. 2 goals, 2 incredible assists, incredible. And it's just a joy to watch. So I think Ole Gunnar, he can be cautious, but when he lets his team attack, they can enjoy the type of performances that we saw against Roma.
The Cavani situation is going to be fascinating, and like it is interesting that things have started to change on that front quite a bit. Like the ideal scenario, I presume, for Manchester United is that Cavani isn't relied upon as much as he was this season, that he still plays the big games, he can still be part of two up front, but Manchester United maybe need to bolster in that number 9 position regardless of whether or not Cavani is at the club next season.
United need a centre forward, and I don't think the team have relied on him this season at all. Up until a month ago, he'd only started 7 league games. So he'd missed a lot of football, he had COVID, he was suspended for replying to one of his friends on Instagram, and that really upset him that he was charged with that, because he felt that people were accusing him of being a racist, and he's absolutely not. If that was a term of endearment towards a friend. And he was living in Manchester away from his family. It's not sunny every day in Manchester in the winter. He was confined to his home. Life was a bit of a challenge for him. I'm saying this is a first world problem. People have had much bigger challenges at the moment. But United need a centre forward. Anthony Martial has had a very poor season. And there's not that natural centre forward that Cavani is, that offers something different, that can lead the line. And he was told ahead of the game last night, make the runs which stretch the defence, make the runs behind. If Chris Smalling goes to mark Paul Pogba, which he'll be reluctant to do, be reluctant to get too close to him, and Cavani just exploited that in combination. Absolutely need a centre forward next season. The great Manchester United teams have all had great centre forwards, and Cavani's goals per minute ratio is far better than anybody else's at United this season. He's just not played enough. But as Ole Gunnar said after the game, he's getting fit now. You're seeing the player that United fans hoped he would have been, because I was writing about him a couple of months ago and saying that he's looking more like a Falcao signing. Great player, but it's just not working out for him. And I welcomed his signing. And when he signed, I spoke to lots of people in Uruguay. I know people who know him very, very well. And they would have told me off the record, he's finished. And none of them did. They said, he's absolutely still got it. And that's been the message I've been getting consistently, from the impact he has on others in training, the influence on others. And he can't even speak English. So he must be doing a lot right.
Yeah, it was incredible. It feels unthinkable almost at this stage that Cavani would leave Manchester United, given the impact that he's had. And I mean, you could write him off given his age and all that kind of thing, but you watch him in action last night, and I mean, maybe he is going to be managed in terms of game time. Maybe he doesn't end up playing against Liverpool this weekend, and but you think that there's got to be space for him. You know, been talking about it over the last few weeks, even if they were to bring in the likes of Erling Haaland, but we'll watch that with interest. We are talking to Andy Mitten of United We Stand. Andy, on the TV coverage here last night, Damien Delaney was on Virgin Media, and he was talking about pre-game now, admittedly, that United aren't entertaining to watch, as he put it last night. He said their style is very simple to unpick. As I said, that was all very much pre-game. I don't know that what happened on the pitch necessarily backed up what he said, but would you take on that point? Is there anything in it?
I think if the style's so easy to unpick, some of the world's greatest managers would have unpicked it. People like Pep Guardiola, when Manchester City played against Manchester United at home recently. I forget the result of that game. PSG earlier on this season, PSG in March 2019. Look, I'm not going to pretend this is a vintage United side yet. It's still short of a couple of players. There are times, such as Leeds at the weekend, when it wasn't thrilling. However, there were months under Sir Alex Ferguson when United didn't thrill. Sometimes it's just about getting results. And United are not at City's level yet. And they're not at the level of previous United sides, but they're improving. They're probably going to finish 10 points more in the league this season than they had last season, looking like a second place finish. How many Manchester United fans watching this would have predicted the team to finish second this season at the start of the year? I don't know anyone who would have done. Liverpool and Manchester City were seen as being so far ahead. And there'll be no parade around Manchester for finishing second. It's still Manchester United. But if the team were to finish second, to get 10 more points than last season, to win the Europa League, I think you've got to say that would be a successful season for this season, not forever, because Manchester United should be winning the Champions League or competing in the Champions League, not getting knocked out in the group stage. But I am convinced that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing a good job. There will be setbacks, of course. There's football, and people tend to wear rose-tinted spectacles when they remember past glories, past teams, even past players. I've seen players who were absolutely slaughtered at United. And now when you ask fans about them, oh, he was great. I remember when he did this. I remember when he did that. United have lost 4 league games this season, drawn too many matches. There's been some poor matches in the league. Crystal Palace last month. But look at the wins. United scored 6 at home against Leeds United, 5 against RB, 6 against Roma. And this Roma team are not PSG level. They're not Real Madrid level, but they're not a bad side. They've beaten good teams to get to the semi-final of a European competition, as have Manchester United, beaten AC Milan, beaten Real Sociedad, beaten Granada. And I think it's just this gradual improvement. But the team has got to be strengthened further in the close season. Tactically, I thought Solskjaer got it perfect last night. And United fans were being critical of him at half-time. I'm sorry, he got it right. Playing Paul Pogba ahead of Mason Greenwood, playing him in the position that he did, Roma did not know how to counter him. Linking up with Luke Shaw, who's probably been the best player this season. And I think Solskjaer deserves credit for what he did tactically against Roma. He doesn't always get it right. I was frustrated at Leeds at the weekend when he left it so late to bring on substitutes. But I know people who are working inside that club every single day, and the intensity of this season has been like no other. There's been almost no let-up. I think last week was the first week when there was no game since November. And United have played so many matches, more than any other team in Europe in terms of the intensity of the matches. And I think they're making a good fist of it. We're now within the final month of the season, and Manchester United are in a decent position. I'd love United to be challenging for the Premier League. It frustrated me when the team fell away a bit in February. But this Manchester City team, with a brilliant manager in Guardiola, they're the best team at the moment. I mean, you've just got to accept that. And it's not always going to be the case. I just hope Solskjaer keeps on improving. He's doing a good job.
Paul Pogba in that position, as you mentioned last night, clearly worked in the context of last night, but it was so good that you start to think, why would Manchester United not continue to play him in this position for the foreseeable and have that link with Luke Shaw on the left?
Pogba is happier when he's playing in that role, and there's times when he's not been happy at Manchester United. I said 3 months ago that he's amenable to staying. He doesn't want to leave the club. And a couple of journalists in Italy said, no, he wants to leave. He absolutely wants to leave. I trust my sources. You know, I know people who know him pretty well and very well. And I don't think that they were lying to me. And situations can always change in football, but he cuts a much happier figure now than he has done. At the start of December, United fans wanted to see the back of him. They'd had enough of him. They thought he was a liability, but playing well, and United need players of his class in the team. He's a world-class player when he plays like that. Yeah, he can make mistakes. He can lose his head. I don't think you can blame him for that penalty in the first half last night. I think that was pretty harsh when he handballed it. I liked his line in humour afterwards when he said, you know, I was trying to tackle, I can't tackle. He doesn't try and win the fans over. I think he's just given up. I think he just accepts that some fans like him and some fans don't like him, and that there's always going to be this noise around him. But he's a top player. He's having a decent season now. And when he combines with other top players, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, Liverpool at the weekend, Andy. I don't know everything that you've been talking about there. It could be quite a tumultuous weekend for United fans. City potentially getting it done this weekend. What are you? Are you expecting that to happen? And what's your expectations from the Liverpool game?
I'm not really thought about City winning the league this weekend. Sorry, I thought in February they've won it. It's done. Did I think 2 weeks ago, there's a little chance here? Of course I did, because football fans are irrational sometimes. I think there'll be a protest before the game against Liverpool from fans who are angry Still angry about the whole Super League thing with the owners pushing for a change in a better ownership model for English football. And then the small matter of Liverpool at home. It's not a huge game. Maybe more important for Liverpool, who are trying to get into that top four. I almost can't believe I'm saying this. I can't believe how far United are ahead of Liverpool in the league. But Liverpool have not become a bad team. They just had very, very bad injuries this season. And maybe lost a bit of the confidence that they've had, maybe lost a bit of the swagger. I watched them. I was in Madrid and watched them. And Real Madrid totally unpicked them in the first half, or rather Toni Kroos did. And I mean, that happens in football. I think that they've had a very bumpy season. When they came to Old Trafford, it was a really good win for United to knock them out of the FA Cup, but still got world-class players down, people like Salah. It surprised me how much they've dropped off this season. I think injuries are a major factor in that. They'd absolutely love to come to Old Trafford and batter United. But United have got to be winning these games. Liverpool and Manchester United are the two biggest teams in English football. They're the two biggest rivals. And I know the focus has moved towards other clubs who've been, City have been more successful this season. It all feels a little bit hollow because there'll be no fans there. When I think of United Liverpool, I think of the build-up in real life with people there, packed away end. And I just don't have that same level of enthusiasm for it when there's no fans there. But thankfully, it looks like it's going to be one of the last games where there is no fans at Old Trafford. And it's United Liverpool, everyone will be watching it.
Yeah, and we'll be keeping a close eye on it too. Live commentary of it here and Off the Ball. Andy, thanks a million.
Thank you.
Andy Mitten there from United We Stand, reflecting last night, looking ahead as well to the weekend.